this okay? Are we good, guys? All right.
Ask if they can hear you in the back.
Can you guys hear me in the back? Back. Are you good? Okay, good. Good morning. Thank you, everybody, for coming to our National Women in Roofing Western States breakfast at 7 a.m. Please grab a mimosa. I don't know about you guys, but as I was walking here from my hotel, I did one of those, looked at everybody out and thought, are you waking up or are you still up? Did you guys do that too? That was so fun. Anyway, so thank you all for coming, again, 7 a.m. in Las Vegas, to our breakfast. We're super excited. We have the Board of Western States Women with us and Heidi, who just walked away, who I will be introducing. So Heidi's our moderator. She is the founder, one of the founders of National Women in Roofing, so it's a super amazing treat to have her with us. And she's also the founder of Roofers Coffee Shop, and she is on the Western States board with these lovely women, as well as she's a Davis Foundation trustee. So I'm gonna let Heidi take it away, and we want this to be interactive because, again, 7 a.m. So I'm gonna have a microphone with me and I'll be walking throughout the crowd. So Wendy will be asking questions, or I'm sorry, Heidi will be asking questions to the board. And then if you guys have any questions, please raise your hand and I can come to you. We really, again, want it to be interactive. Take it away, Heidi.
Okay. Oh, thank you. So Lee has put this whole thing together, and she is really amazing. So if you haven't met Lee Lipniskis, go up and introduce yourself to her, because you'll always be happy around that. Okay, talking about happy, this room just makes me so freaking happy. You guys, I walk through here and I'm seeing so many friends, so many people who are here at 7, which I actually like morning. Chris and I are, we're morning people, the rest of them, maybe Wendy, I'm not sure. Stephanie's yes.
I used to be a morning person, not so much in Vegas.
Yeah, not so much in Vegas. So we're here today to talk about getting involved. And so you're already the first step. You're here this morning. You're involved. You're meeting people. You're networking. And we want to talk about how do you take that to the next step for your career, for your company, for yourself personally. I can tell you this, there's been nothing greater in my life than National Women in Roofing. Sorry. I got emotional. And I've been on, working with Western States and been on their advisory board, associate advisory board, probably if you added it all up over the years, probably 15 years or more. And it is the greatest group of people there are. And so being involved and being now a trustee on the Davis Memorial has really enriched my life. It has incredibly helped my company, and it just makes the best friends in the world. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We want it to be interactive. We want to take your questions. So the whole goal of this morning is for you to be able to say, how can I get more involved? How do I do that? Who do I meet? And the panel of women who are up here are amazing, and they have such wisdom, and so we're going to share a lot of those stories today. So before we start, I'd like everyone to stand up, and we're going to take a picture, because I always forget to do this. And once I get into it, then I'll be in trouble. So, okay. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yay! Okay. Okay, we're going to start with introductions. We're going to start on this side of the table, and we're going to have all these ladies introduce themselves because they can tell their story best. So we're going to start with Hillary.
Good morning, I'm Hillary McPartland, McPartland Roofing out of Santa Fe, New Mexico, and now Taos, New Mexico as well. Yeah, Hereford, New Mexico. I'm a third-generation roofer, and my father roped me into this business. He's here.
Good job, Dad.
And the other night I was actually telling Heidi and Karen that they also roped me back into this business. Here, 6 years ago, when I was not thinking I'd come back into roofing, but I was in education and needed a break from that, thought I would go and help the family business temporarily, and then here I am, an addict. So I hope the rest of you are, because roofing is fabulous. Boards, right? I am not only a board member of Western States, but I'm on 2 committees for NRCA, university operations, and career technical education, because those are my other passions, trying to get people into this industry and having career pathways. And then I'm also on the Santa Fe Chamber of Commerce, doing career tech, the public education department's business advisory. So I work with the state of New Mexico, trying to help them with career pathways, so that there are people who can go on alternative routes and not just go into college, but can go into this industry and get the kinds of career prep that they need. And Girls Inc., if you don't know your local chapter of Girls Inc., I suggest checking it out, because it is empowering from early education through high school, and the girls that come out of it are just awe-inspiring. Like National Women in Roofing and Girls Inc. have definitely changed my life as well.
Thank you. You never get out of roofing, right? You never get out of roofing. That's just how it is. Okay, Wendy.
I'm Wendy Marvin. I am the founder and owner of Matrix Roof and Home Solutions out of Vancouver, not BC, Washington, not DC. How's that? So down by Portland, Oregon. I've been accused of being a Canadian so much this week. It's like, no. I founded our company kind of based on poor contractor experiences, and wanted to create an environment where, pardon the phrase, we don't mansplain, and we show up on time for appointments, and we call people back, and novel concepts in the industry. So I've been in business 15 years now, so heading into our 16th year in January. So survived and opened in the pandemic. So when the recession comes, just know that you're going to be okay. It's going to work out. Boards. I am on Western States. I am on, as Hillary, committees with National Roofing Contractors Association, NRCA. I'm a treasurer for the Roofing Technology. If you guys don't know about that one, that's another panel that Heidi's involved with, and Karen over there. And it's a great group of people that are looking to try to, bring technology into our industry and keep advancements moving. So it's a great group. There's a lot of them. Yeah. Girls Inc., chambers, chapters. I think you're going to hear that from a lot of us, is just that when you get involved, it's kind of like a disease, and you just keep saying yes when people ask. So that's a good thing.
It's a really good thing. Chris.
Okay, I'm Chris Heitzman. I have owned Capital Roofing for the last 10 years. Purchased it from my father. I'm a 3rd generation roofer. I've been in the Western States Board for probably around 8 years, I think. Before that, I've been heavily involved in PTA and with my church, and raising my kids and trying to get them everywhere.
Valerie.
Valerie Miller. I'm with JBS Roofing, or Jim Brown & Sons Roofing. It's family owned. It was named after my grandfather, so everybody always thinks Jim Brown is my husband or Jim Brown is my father, but no, it was just named after my grandfather. I've been there for 18 years. I've been on the board for Western States 4 years, time flies. I'm heavily involved also in our state association, which is how I got brought on to Western States. And I'm also a director for BNI. Any BNIers in here? No?
There's one.
Oh,
Yep.
one. We could have a 1-to-1. And I guess that's about, and I'm the council chair for National Women in Roofing.
Yes, you are.
Don't forget that, no, it's important.
Stephanie.
My name is Stephanie Baird, and I am the general manager of Bliss Roofing in Clackamas, Oregon, which is a residential roofing contractor. I have been there for just shy of 29 years. I am brand new to the Western States Board. In fact, today's my first day. I'm heavily involved in other associations, our local ARC, I am involved in National Women in Roofing, the Oregon Council. I'm the former chair. I'm the current community outreach chair, and I did sit on the board of directors as community outreach as the co-chair for the national part. So I'm also a member of Professional Women in Building and Home Builders Association, and it's great to see so many members of the Oregon Council sitting out there this morning.
Yes, go Oregon. We're a little prejudiced. Okay, great, thank you. See, is this impressive or what? I mean, we could stop right now and you would just say, okay, I'm gonna go talk to Wendy, I'm gonna go talk to Stephanie, because this is part of that networking. So if you have questions as we're going through, Lee's out there, she'll make sure she gets you, and because the lights are kind of bright. But we're gonna start with some really talking about how to get involved in boards. So we're gonna start down here with Stephanie. Stephanie, how did you get involved in Western States? This is your first day. And then how did you also, some of the other boards, and you don't have to go through every one, but just a little bit of how do you do that? How do you even start to get involved?
Well, for this board, I was solicited by different members of other organizations for which I was in, especially the ARC.
Can you closer to you guys?
Okay.
There you go, perfect.
I have a loud voice already. That's not what we need. But I guess my biggest thing that I have done in our industry, in our community, is our work with National Women in Roofing. And we do a lot of community outreach projects, and that's kind of what we've based our whole council about. And so being involved that way has put me in contact with other people in our community. Professional Women in Building. We're also a member of Home Builders Association, and we've done a lot of charity projects for the Home Builders Foundation, which is the charity portion of that. And we partnered with our local ARC, with National Women in Roofing, and really have been able to give back to our community that way. So I think just kind of being involved in lots of organizations is important. So just kind of getting your feet wet.
Valerie.
So most all the boards or associations I've been drugged, like ARCA, or Arizona Roofing Contractors Association, day one with my dad, we're going to a meeting. So that's kind of how I got initiated right off the board. But B&I probably was the one that I was 39 years old. Somebody had invited me to it. I was going through this live outside of the box, terrified to speak in public. And I did it, and I went to the parking lot thinking, what am I doing? I don't know a single soul in this room, and I'm gonna go do this. And within 6 months, they asked me to be president, and then I was a director. And so I just challenge everybody, if you're nervous or there's something, you just have to challenge yourself, make yourself feel uncomfortable, get in there and do it.
Yeah, I love that. Live outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you grow, right?
Chris?
I was approached by Brad Baker, who was the former president. He was actually reaching out looking for my dad. And he knew nothing about me. And he was trying to at that time get like a representative from every state, because there wasn't a lot of representatives and there was very few members from Utah. So he reached out to me because he had attended a class with my dad, and he kind of said, sure, you'll be great. And I was scared and didn't speak for a whole year. Literally, you can ask anybody. And it's taken me a while to come out of my shell, but I did it, and it's been one of the best things I've ever done.
I love it. Yeah. Wendy.
So my board involvement was really weird, and it might be some things that you guys relate with. So being the sole contractor owners, my ex-husband and I opened the company, doing the roofs, putting things on. Yes, I was on the roof, pulled plywood, did all the things that you do. And I wasn't involved. We weren't involved at all. We were making money for our family. We were kind of cruising towards retirement. And we had a little bit of a left turn and divorced. And I ended up buying him out of the company. And I was sitting there one day, and much like Val was saying, I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to be involved. And I think for me, at the time, it was just to get out of the funk of what had happened. And I went to a chamber meeting. It was a local group. It was somebody that I didn't know anybody, same thing. I had to have a couple cocktails before I went out there. And, you know, you just have to be out there talking to people. And I ended up meeting a woman at that group that heard our story and heard the transition, and me kind of going from this back end, kind of running the business but not the face of the business, into stepping full on into the spotlight of owning a roofing company and what that meant in all the facets of my life. And nominated me for Small Business of the Year, won that local chapter. It kind of empowered me, and I started getting involved in going to meetings, coming here, meeting some of the great people that were on the board, asking questions. And I like I said, I think once you get started in it, it's a movement from a me to a we. And recognizing that, you know, especially as females, we have such a way to impact in this industry and make great changes and partner and help us as an industry grow. And so, yeah, you get that ball rolling, and it's infectious and it's wonderful. But it's really cool to see the changes that have happened, and you know, even especially with Heidi being here and the things that she's brought to this industry, it's like we're really doing some good things. It's a pretty exciting thing to be a part of.
Well, Hillary?
I had a friend from National Women Roofing that we met through an event, and we kind of just cried on each other's shoulders a lot, and also gave each other a lot of great pep talks. And she nominated me because I guess she saw me doing so much stuff locally in New Mexico, and she was in Southern California, and she said, you know, you need to put those heels on and walk in and be at the table as well. So I was very grateful for it. And then when I met Wendy and Valerie through the telephone and computer, because it was 2020 when I started on the board, this has all been very new but exciting and supportive, and it is infectious and excellent, and it really feels great to meet so many amazing people and women who have kind of come into the industry, because when I was on the roof too many years ago, I was definitely one of the only ones. So it's so different now, and it's a beautiful balance, and bringing different people and backgrounds just changes everything, the way we're seeing it now in the industry, which is great.
It is.
Can I also add really quick, if any of you are interested in being on the board for Western States, it's not a secret sauce.
Yeah.
Every year, when the board members term out, it's a 2-year term, and we put out to the community, you can get on the website and you can apply. And that was how Stephanie became a part of the newest member of our board. So it's not like you have to know somebody or you have to be on the in crowd. It's like it's an opportunity, and you know, they do look for board experience and community experience, but you fill out an application and you too could be sitting up here.
Yeah. In fact, and that's perfect, because I was going to say, I want to do a shout out to the board of Western States. They have been so supportive, and this was probably about 3 years ago, Hillary, when all this, I had the current president, it was right before, Leo, who's here, he talked to me. I had a couple other, my 7 o'clock brain, I'm not pulling names, so I apologize, but they came up and they said, Heidi, we want to have more women on the board. Who do you know? And can we start recruiting more women? I mean, come on, that is like the coolest thing ever. And so a lot of, you know, I said, yeah, these are the names, these are the people out there, who wants to be involved? So it's a lot of times it's not just, it's letting people know you want to, but then you also have to advocate for yourself. And I'm going to use one example for me personally. Last year at this time, I was with Tracy Prochu, and she at that time she was the executive director of Washington. Now she works for Roofer's Coffee Shop. She said, "Yeah, we're looking for board members for Washington." And I'm in Oregon, right? And so I said, "Well, I'd be interested in being a board member." And she said, "Really?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd like to help support and do some things." And so they put my name in the kitty, and I was elected. And so now we do a lot with Washington. We're also active on NRCA, we're active on just a lot in Florida. And so if you want to be out there, what these ladies are saying, that's, you got to let people know and then just be active because you'll get nominated, trust me. I love nominating people to do things. It's great.
Heidi, we have a question in the audience.
Yes.
So you ladies talked about how when as you are all on these boards and these members, when you go into these events and you see that woman sitting by herself, I believe you are all those kind of women who go up to her and bring her into the conversation. But when you first walked into that room and you knew nobody, how did you find your space? How did you get comfortable there? And you know what I mean? When you walk into those rooms and you know nobody, it's really intimidating. So what's your secret sauce, Wendy? Your key to networking in those rooms?
Alcohol. There isn't anybody in this room, male or female, that hasn't had that moment where you walk into the room and you're like, what am I doing here? I still have that. I mean, we were sitting in a board meeting, in the committee meetings with NRCA, and we're sitting there with people who have roofed the Dallas Cowboys Stadium, and then there's, hi, I'm here, I'm a residential contractor. It is just honestly getting to the place where you recognize who you are, and that's harder when you're younger, and it gets really easy when you're older because you stop caring as much, I think. You know, it is putting on your big girl pants and your comfort where you go in and you just start walking around and introducing. And to this day, I still meet people at this show where I walk in and I am who I am. I mean, I have a ton of friends here, but there's still people I don't know, and I still get that looking up and down, oh, hi, you know, and you just have to let that go. You have to find the people you connect with, and when you connect with one, you know, I mean, right now, you are connecting with us. We will know you now, and if you come up to me and say hi to me at an event, I will put my arm around you and say hi and introduce you to people, and that's what we'll do for you.
Yeah, and Chris, can you kind of address that a little bit too? Because I know that was really hard for you at starting with Western States.
Different.
It was really hard. When I first started, Tracy was the only other woman on the board, and she left shortly after that. So it was probably 2 years that I was the only woman, and I was terrified. I don't know. In Utah, it's kind of a different culture than the rest of the world. Women have to, and at the same time, I was going through the point with my dad where he was like, he didn't really want me to buy the business, so he forced me and my husband to have a partner. And so I was really scared, but there was several men on the board that just reached out to me, and they just guided me along the way. And you should see, they keep saying they should have just never encouraged me to talk because now they can't get me to shut up. But just find those people. I remember at the first thing, I was sitting there and I was so scared when they were, after we got voted on the board. And there was this one gentleman, and he came up and just put his arms around me. He goes, "We're so glad you're here." And it was just, and I kind of clung to him for a minute. And then it just, from there I went out and kept finding the guys that were nicer to me and just kept going on. Because I was the only woman for a while, and it was pretty scary.
And when I joined, the president's reception is the first thing for Western States, so you don't really even know anybody. And you're just walking into this, party atmosphere. So it's not even like you're sitting down at a table, and you welcomed me over into the table, and I was like, oh, thank God, because I didn't know a soul, and I didn't want to be that one that just stands there with a drink awkwardly, So So I think once you're comfortable, then you should look for that woman that's sitting at the table by herself, because you realize, you remember yourself what it was like, and not just a woman, even if it's, guys feel that way too, ladies. So anybody that's just by themselves in the table, you remember what it was like when you didn't know anybody, and invite them in.
Well, and I feel like I just had that happen 2 days ago for me. because I'm brand new to the board, and I walked in for the board meeting, and Wendy greeted me, which I was grateful for. And even though I know several people on the board, I'm not comfortable. There's most of the people I don't know. I had two things to take away from that. One is I was so impressed that there were so many women on the board now, much different than from when you first started. And the second thing, that I have something to offer. And even though I'm scared and nervous, I have something to offer. And so, hi, I'm Stephanie.
Yeah.
And that's what I said to the people sitting next to me, which I had no idea who they were. But they have something to offer, and so do I. And so remember that. It's important.
Yeah, good point.
Hillary, do you have anything on that?
Same. I mean, I think every time I'm at an event or whether I've had to speak or be the first person in the room, it's kind of the same nerves. And I think that there's usually somebody who you can either just connect to or put yourself out there, be vulnerable, and usually you do have something to offer. So it's also very comforting once you let yourself be vulnerable to open up, and Leo also was very warming to me, like very opening and letting me know what I should do and where I should go, and Valerie and Wendy also, and then finally I met Chris once we actually got back into person.
Yeah.
Well, and if it's not easy, like to Stephanie's point, onboarding was tough for me too, and for Val, because we kind of walked in. I don't think anybody's doing anything intentionally to try to keep us out.
Yeah.
But I think there are a lot of things that the guys don't think about that we do. So what we did is when we became members, then we went on the membership committee and we went, hey, have you thought about doing this? Hey, have you thought about introducing them? Hey, have you thought about a board mentor that you could connect people with so that they can walk them through the process? And you can make that change too.
And you know, it will never go away. So just because if you're constantly putting yourself outside your comfort zone, and Jennifer, you are amazing at that. You are constantly growing and putting yourself out. But we just joined Metal Construction Association. And so I had after 30 years in roofing, well, not quite 30, we're almost there. But in roofing, now I'm going to this whole new, where I know kind of a few people, but not really. And I found myself in that exact same position. I didn't know. I'm like, okay, Heidi, you gotta go talk to people. And most of you think that wouldn't be hard, but it is hard when you don't know and stuff. And one other example I just want to give, and this I think is really important, we're going to talk about this a little bit, is being that advocate for each other. So Wendy had her first NRCA meetings this summer, and Hillary's there, and yes, and there's a lot of women there. And Wendy called and said, what do we do? How does this work? What's going to happen, Heidi? And we're really lucky to be one voice member, so I go to all the committee meetings and stuff too. And it was great. We talked about it, right? And I said, well, this is what will happen, and you just gotta go, gotta do it. And it worked out great.
It was great. It was a great experience.
We're on CTE together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And you know, can I add one thing? I was here at an event, and I was with another woman who was, you wouldn't think she'd ever be like the shy, timid person, and she was just not networking. And I was like, you gotta start meeting people. Count, just count. Just give yourself like a 1, 2, 3, whatever that number is, if it's 5 or 10 or 100, count, get to that number that you said you were gonna get to, and then just walk up to somebody and start talking, because what's the worst thing they're gonna do? You know, walk away? Oh, well, then you probably shouldn't be talking to that person.
Yeah, exactly. Is Emily, are you in the audience this morning? Yeah,
There she
can you
is.
stand up? Okay, right here, Emily. So this young lady yesterday walked up to Roofer's Coffee Shop, and she walked up to me and she said, I just want to meet you. And it was so cool. And so I'm so happy you're here this morning. And she is working with a gentleman, and they have a slate and copper company out of California. Slate and copper in California, pretty cool. So if you get a chance to meet Emily, she's right over there, and she's an amazing on the roof. Kicked most men's butt. Okay, any other questions?
said, what do I do? And he said, I got you. And within a day, I had a letter in my hand that basically called out all of the inconsistencies in what state of Washington had done and how basically we had the right to sue them for being vulnerable and leaving roofs and houses vulnerable, and if they didn't allow us to complete our work. And I had it in my trucks. We were stopped by OSHA. My guys gave it to them. I don't think anybody knew what they were doing at that point, right? We were all in this, and so the OSHA guy went, oh, you've got a letter from an attorney. Okay, you guys go ahead. So like Hilly said, just being able to call somebody, business in general, but constructions especially, is just fraught with those first times, right? Insurance people that were weird and defrauded me when I was open 2 years, and I ended up finding out that my liability guess of what I would make for that year resulted in a $14,000 fine, and I was on the phone to the people that I know. And you can't put a price tag on that. I don't know if any of you guys were in there yesterday at the Family Feud game, but it's like mod bid and that stuff, that's not my world. And there were people there that, you know, okay, what's the answer to that question? And I feel like that's what we do. You know, when you've got that weird situation, that weird customer, that weird material delivery issue, that whatever, you've got a resource of people from all walks of life that will immediately answer your emails. Leo was one of the first people that I reached out to as a new board member, and I needed some assistance. And again, it's just that community that you can't fake. I will throw out really quick that there is a group on Facebook called Harness and Heels for the ladies. Do we have any members in here? Yeah. Look at that. So there's a lady named Christina Hill, and I know there's been other people behind the scenes, but that there's a Facebook group out there for females only, and I mean, I think there's men in there too, but it's a resource for us to go, hey, I don't have any paperwork for job site safety inspections for this. Does anybody have a copy? And somebody will send it to them. So yeah, community is huge, and will benefit your business hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Comes back. Chris?
So with my husband and I always say, because my husband tags along with me to the board meetings, he sits in all the committee meetings with me, and because I don't do a lot of technical, but he says, both of us agree that being involved with Western States has benefited us more than we could have ever even given back. With all of the technical, legal, and just like Hillary and Wendy are saying, just the community being able to, if you've got a problem with something or different, like I know we reached out to Hillary because of a software thing that we were doing and that type of stuff. Also, hearing others' experiences with like the problems they've had. I know there was something with a roof drain or something that we heard about, and Paul and I had a job going on just like that. And he's like, no, in California, it was something that roofers took responsibility, and we were like, oh crap. So it was a good thing to be able to figure that out ahead of time. One of the biggest things that really has helped our business is the safety talks. And at first, that was part of the reason why I wanted to join, was because they had, I knew they had provided these safety toolbox talks. And they kind of along the way, the safety committee has fumbled a little bit. And I don't know if any of you are members or whatever, but if you've seen our new safety talks that we've got produced in this last year with our new partner, with SNK, his name's Steven. He is producing some amazing toolbox talks that get delivered every Thursday morning. They have English on one side and Spanish on another side. They are amazing. So if you're one of the big member benefits of Western States.
And real quick, I just want, first of all, how many people are members of Western States out here? Okay, great. If you're not, we're gonna have an opportunity for you. And I just want to say real quick to both, you were able from your business to say, this is what we need, get involved on the board and get on the committees, and then get what your company needed that all these other companies need. So it's such an amazing circle. I just had to, that's so cool.
And to that, I was trying to recruit members a few years ago, and this guy's like, I'm just like Chuck in the truck, I'm just a little guy. And I said, but you know what? Everybody needs safety. This is what they've got. And it's a free benefit. It's amazing.
I think everybody's kind of touched on all the topics, safety, technical, but for me what was most valuable is the things I didn't know that I needed. You find out the problems with products before everybody else does. It will save you time and headache. To me, that's been the most invaluable asset for me and my company, right? Because when something happens, automatically everybody starts pointing fingers, so you can just be like, I'm not even going to buy that stuff because I already know it's bad. Good luck to you. And also, obviously, the safety, but the legal, you get free legal advice. When the pandemic hit, we all got these clauses that we could put in our contracts for free. You didn't have to call your guy on retainer. Also, the technical aspects, you just have a hotline. I just call Pete directly, or direct Pete, but if you don't have relationships with them, you just call the technical line. You get free technical advice. It's valuable. What do you got to add?
Well, that's the reason I wanted to be a board member, is kind of being on the cutting edge, like you ladies just said, of the technical, of the legal, of the safety. We've used the safety toolbox topics. We've mirrored that at our own company. I think it's going to be an invaluable thing for my company, for Bliss Roofing. So, yeah, I'm in agreement.
I agree, and I want to add from a different perspective, because I know we have a number of manufacturers and distributors out in the audience. So these ladies are all on the board. I'm on the Associate Advisory Council, and so we get to go spend twice a year. I get to spend 3-4 days with all of these amazing board members, and I get to network, and I get to talk about Roofer's Coffee Shop. Companies out there get to talk about Duralast with Tim Hart, who's on the board. We get to talk about the different things, and so now, so that's great for us, right? That's great for our business, but now all the board members also have a direct line into these companies. And during everything that's been going on, to be able to sit and know the vice president of manufacturing for a major supplier, that's pretty good to be able to put that phone call in and ask what's going on with allocations, what's happening here, because you already have that relationship. So I think
Are you ever going to get that color back in again?
Yeah, you ever, and so for your
Or
business.
Cedar Shake is no longer available.
Yeah.
So we can call our friends in Canada or Washington or Oregon. Yeah.
Well, and so the distributors out there and the manufacturers, it's like the value of being an affiliate member is, you know, not only do you have a network of people who are leaders in their industry and you could sell to us, but you're going to hear boots on the ground what's wrong. And you have an opportunity to fix things. We discovered something weird at the last board meeting where we were talking about a mix of some type of caulking, and it was like, the distributor was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's not supposed to be used together. And we all went, what? And you know, such a small thing, but it's a big deal if it causes the roof to leak. So.
Well, and just like mentioning Tim Hart, I was even able to get back to him. We had a ex-disgruntled employee that had applied to be an inspector, and I'd heard through the grapevine. And so I called up Tim, and our business partner was like, no, he doesn't need to know. And I was like, absolutely, Tim needs to know. He's my friend. He needs to know this. This isn't about business. This is about my friendship. And I cannot let him hire this guy because he will be sorry.
Yeah. And then you do build those kind of friendships. I mean, we all do.
Yes.
We watch out for each
100%.
other. And so.
Can I just give Valerie a shout, because I took a full day of her time recently. I was traveling on my wedding anniversary, my 20th wedding anniversary with my husband, and I had to work because that's who I am. So we diverted our trip to Phoenix just so that I could go and hang out and rack her brain, ask her questions, get some advice, because, you know, this is a competitive industry. It doesn't matter like what gender you are or what your background is, it's competitive and cutthroat. And we usually can't talk to, you know, your neighboring company because they're going to take what you just talked about and use it against you to take your customers. That's okay, that's business. But here we have this group where we can talk to other states, find out what's coming, down the line, or talk to our, friends and colleagues that can give you that kind of advice, and they're not doing it to take you down, they're doing it to help you. So it's kind of a beautiful part of being in this organization.
I hear that. That's funny because I hear that a lot especially about the regionals, like Western States, NERCA. They say, well, why? I'm already part of my local, and I'm part of NRCA. Why? And you just answered one of the biggest whys you get to build across the whole states, and you have similar. You're working on the same problems, the same type of environments sometimes. Maybe not Phoenix and Portland or Vancouver, but.
How about Wendy, I thought you were going to talk about the hot yoga studio problem.
We were at the last board meeting, and I had a customer that called in. They're a building owner, and there's a hot yoga studio being put in. Does anybody imagine a problem with a hot yoga studio going, right? Ventilation, all these things. And so I brought it to the board, and of course, not only did they help me with my solution, they teased me for 4 days straight.
Well, a couple of them didn't believe. A couple of them thought you were joking.
Yeah, there were a few people that were like, I don't understand what the problem would be, and then it was Stan Robinson.
Because if you live in Arizona, that's not an issue.
Yeah.
If you live in Oregon or Washington, apparently that's an issue.
It rots the building from the inside out, just want you to know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was Stan Robinson, who isn't in here, but who finally saved me and went, no, you guys are giving her crap, but this is really an issue where we are. I felt vindicated.
In different areas.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have about 15 minutes left. I would love to open it up for some additional questions. We have some questions out there, or even if you'd like to maybe share your story. How many folks out here are serving on a board at this moment? Great. Would you like to, if anybody would like, raise your hand and share what board you're serving on and any thoughts?
Don't be shy, ladies.
Okay, Haley. She's right here. She had her hand up.
Actually, I'm on the board. I just joined my first committee at the last Women in Roofing Day. So, community service for the Western region. That's what I'm.
Yeah. Excellent. Haley's with New Tech Machinery. So, yeah, I'm picking her. But I think, we haven't talked about councils, because that's a great way to start. So first of all, how many people are members of National Women in Roofing? Great. For anyone who's not, we can help you with that. Yes, we can help you with that. And Jessica, you can put your hand up because you are, okay, how many are involved with their councils, local councils? Great. Okay, if you're not, look around and you can ask and find out. If you don't have one in your area, you can start one. And what better way to start getting the experience that Wendy was talking about than in a safe space of council. So Stephanie, talk a little bit about Oregon. I know we're all a little prejudiced up here, but talk a little bit about Oregon, because I've been watching the leadership of the women leaders coming out of the Oregon Council. Is just incredible. And then they're all getting involved in other things too. Yeah, Ashley's back there. Oregon Council? Yeah, there we go.
Very proud of the Oregon Council and what we have done. We're a very active council, and we focus our attention on community outreach. So we've done a lot for our community that I guess represents the missions and goals of National Women in Roofing by taking care of women or children or families and serving those. We are founding members. I consider myself to be a founding member. There was 4 of us from the Oregon Council that started our committee under Heidi's guidance. Devry is out there today too. She's one of them. We've done lots of great things, and I think that is a great way to be involved. From my opinion, I feel like that's something that everybody wants to be part of, and I think we really saw that last year at National Women in Roofing Day, when all of the they had a sign-up sheet for all the different committees that they offer, and the community outreach portion by far was the huge number of people that wanted to be involved in that. So I think that really spoke volumes to people. I believe that community outreach is just cause marketing, not only for National Women in Roofing, but for your own business. I think it's super important to give back to the community in the industry that has supported you through your career. So I think it's super important.
Yeah. The IRE, if you guys can imagine, I mean, this is a smaller group, but we are so proud of you guys for 7 a.m. I just have to say that again. But if you can imagine at IRE, the National Women's Day that Stephanie's talking about, twice the size of this ballroom filled to the gills with women that are members. And
a
all,
lot of amazing
all
supportive
states.
men.
Huh?
And a lot of amazing supportive men.
Yeah, I'm sorry, and we do mention that. It's like, it's a balance. It's you know, businesses that support as well, but you don't have the idea of the size and scope of what we're talking about, and it is, please come to IRE and join us.
Yeah.
It's an amazing day.
I want to call out, I don't think she's here this morning, but if you get a chance, stop by the Malarkey booth today and talk to Rachel Garcia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rachel, are you here? No. And harass her for not being here.
Yes, harass her.
She is the current chair of the Oregon Council. She is on the Young Professionals with Western States, and her and Jackson and Austin Barnhart are all super active with young professionals. She's also on the Young Professionals for MRCA, and she does a lot there. She is an inspiration. So if you're kind of thinking, you know, I don't know how to get involved or if I want to do it, stop and talk to her, especially if you're a young professional. I consider myself one, but I've been around a little while. So talk to her too. And there's another person to reach out because she's present and
she's amazing.
It's bringing it through these opportunities they get more involved. Yeah. Okay. We're gonna end this with our balance conversation. So all of us have talked about, there is such an incredible, it is so important that we have balance. And balance means bringing all types of people, ideas, thoughts, emotional intelligence, you name it, statistics, data, you know, wherever your talent is, men and women and everyone involved. And so we wanted to kind of talk about that just a little bit because Western States definitely has balance. You're seeing the balance there and it's made such a difference. So I'm actually going to start on this side because Stephanie, you just joined. But you know balance.
I have no balance.
Yeah, I know balance. But Hillary, how important is that as we're moving forward to reach and strive to have that balance on these boards and associations?
It's huge because if you don't have, you know, a diverse group, you're missing the point. Like there's somebody who's not part of the conversation that should be. And you know, I'm lucky enough that I speak Spanish, but if I am in a room in a meeting and one of the people in there don't speak English or they don't speak Spanish and the conversation is in maybe that language, like that's been a big barrier for us. Or just talking about you know, LGBTQ rights, or like, are you even aware that this is an issue for us? So like having those be brought to the table, I think are key concepts that if you don't have somebody to represent a different group, then you're missing that whole chapter.
Yeah.
Missing opportunities is the biggest thing. You know, when you hire, you've got to hire, as a company, I look for the best person. That's a man, a woman, a person of color, it is irrelevant to us. And I think what that has brought to our company is a richness of perspectives, which really translates into being exceptional to understand what our customers want. So, you know, I think the beautiful thing about the NWIR is every single person at this counter, and I'm sure in this room, we've got stories, and they're not pretty at times. And sometimes we share those stories privately with each other, and we commiserate, and then we move on. But in general, the NWIR chapter is meant to be bringing forward that balance and that change, and helping people see a different perspective. Because I said a lot of times the lack of inclusion, or sometimes the reference to roofers, and we're looking at a video and there's not a female involved in it. We can't see ourselves in those things sometimes. A lot of times it's not intentional and mean, it's just they don't see it. And so when we have a respectful, honest conversation about it, 90% of the time when I've had that, they've been like, wow, I didn't realize you felt that way. I didn't realize this was the impact of what happened. I didn't realize, And so I think from the inception, it was interesting. My transition into being involved really transitioned right around when NWI was new. And I'm looking at the changes in our industry that are ancillary. It's not like anybody's standing back and beating people with a stick, because that will not change people, right? But the balance and the things that we've done are shifting this industry in major ways. And can I point out about Danielle?
Yes.
So Progressive Materials just announced to us yesterday that as of last Friday, their female president is being instituted as of last Friday, and her name is Danielle Wells. And much like Erin, we want to give her a shout out.
Danielle, can you stand up?
There she is.
Nice.
And it's the best person for the job. So congratulations to Progressive Materials and to other companies that are out there, seeing the value of the diverse groups that we have out there.
And I want to point out that,
I can't think of his name.
Gentleman's name. Well, I know, but again, anyway, he came up to us. He said, would you please be aware of this? So this was a man coming up and saying, we are so proud
Yep.
of Danielle, and we would just like to have that brought out. So that's balance right there. That's awesome. Chris.
The balance within the Western States Board, I was there when it was really off balance. And
Not so balanced.
and it has been there through the involvement, or not the involvement, the evolution. That's the right word. Sorry, it's early. And it's kind of amazing to watch and see how because I'm an observer. I don't speak up all the time, but when they do stop and ask me for my opinion or something, it's like people really want your opinion or something, and it's a really good thing, and they're all really accepting.
There's balance.
There is balance. There's a lot of balance, and it's really neat to see.
Yeah, and I think the balance has happened just within the last few years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was born into roofing, but I started 18 years ago, and I was the only female that I know of that was doing estimates. Like, they were all admin, and there was no way I'm not an admin person. You don't want me to balance your checkbook. I'm like, oh, it's fine. It's off $100, it's okay. But anyways, so, and there was one female in Arizona that was a product rep. There was one female that was a respectable product rep, I'll say that. And so it's nice to see that it's not a complete balance yet, but I'm not the only one. Yeah, it's really.
It's important for the industry overall.
Yeah, it's changed. It's been a lot. I mean, and maybe we didn't want to go here, but a couple years ago, you'd walk the show and there'd be promo girls everywhere.
Yeah.
Right?
There was only 2 this time.
Yes, and a couple, and I actually felt bad for these girls. Like 2 years ago, they were the only, maybe it was at WRE, and these poor 20-year-olds, they were out of place. And a light bulb went off in my head like, wow, it's not the norm. They're out of place, and I feel sorry for them. I don't know, that it's like probably the last 5 years, right?
Yeah.
We've kind of seen that shift, and
I know 30 years ago, it was a lot different.
yeah.
Well, 6 years ago, they were still going down to the strip and bringing people up and putting them in their
Yeah.
booths next to the National Women in Roofing booth, which was a
Yeah.
big mistake.
So it's been a positive plus. So we need to keep
Positive.
the balance, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm against 100% female anything. We absolutely have to have balance.
Yep.
We have to have diversity all the way across, 100%.
Stephanie, bring us home.
Well, I don't have too much to add to this committee as I'm brand new, but I agree with you, ladies. I've went to our local ARC chapters for years, and literally for years, I was the only female in the room. And I kept going and kept going, and it's weird to see that change. Probably in the last 8 years, there's lots of women. There's women owners of companies. There's women salespeople. There's women there. So it's really nice to see. And I agree with you that it shouldn't be just about women. It needs to be about talent, who the talent is. And I think that we all have something different to offer. You just said about you're not going to balance a checkbook. Well, I'm not going to do a PowerPoint presentation either. I probably could, but I don't, it's not my gift. And so I think we all need to recognize what our gift is and what we can bring, because what my gift is different than yours, and together we can make it really happen. I think that's super important.
I'll do your PowerPoint if you balance my checkbook.
I'm going to do something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that really, so I'm going to challenge everybody in this room to meet your neighbors, talk. We have a little bit of time, we're right at the end, but we have about 15 minutes of the room left. Talk to these ladies up here, talk to each other, get involved, and more than anything, the reason that it's changed is because we all are advocating for each other. And it doesn't matter who you are, because we are saying get involved and be a part of it. That's what's changing the industry, and that's what's going to continue to create the diversity and balance that we need. So, ladies, membership. Okay, so if you want to become a member of Western States, which we totally recommend, get with any of these ladies. They can sign you up. We've got brochures in the back. We have sign-up things.
Well, brochures, the top of the brochures on your table have a QR code.
Yeah.
That takes you directly to the sign-up. Please know that if you sign up at the show and today's the last day, you receive a 20% discount, and you can renew every year and do that. Yeah. So I think it takes it down from $6.95 to $5.20 some change. So $5.27.
Do we know Western State's booth number? No.
Nope.
But
It's the big one, and they have free beer.
Yeah, go by there and see it. National Women in Roofing booth is it's on the 800 row. It's actually right across from Roofer's Coffee Shop. So you can go there, you can sign up. Signing up for National Women in Roofing is so easy. Just go to nationalwomeninroofing.org. It is reasonable, it's yours, and sign up on your phone. It's so easy. So, Lee, do you have some stuff? No. Jennifer.
So with National Women in Roofing, for me, it's all been about empowerment. And every time I get knocked down, these women rally around me and pick me up and build back my confidence. And so I want to offer to give back. Wendy, you had your technical question that you were getting teased about for asking. I am a technical person in the roofing industry, and I am happy to be that person for you, that you can not feel intimidated to ask that question. I won't laugh at you, I'll laugh with you, but feel free to leverage me as a resource. I do live in Philly, but I travel around the country for GAF.
Jen, will you give your credentials, please? Because you are just a freaking rock star. Honestly.
I practiced as a building enclosure consultant for 20 years before I crossed over to the dark side of manufacturing. I head up the building and roofing sciences team.
And you're an engineer.
She's
almost an astrophysicist, build rockets and go to the moon kind of thing.
I practiced architecture and structural engineering, but I'm not licensed. But I have a lot of fun with my job.
To your point, Jennifer, let's have all the, there are a number of women in here who are on the National Women in Roofing Board, who right now, I know Renee Bells is here, who is our past chair. Jennifer is going to be the chair in a year.
In a year.
In a year. Michelle Boykin's not here, but anybody who's on the board for National Women Roofing or on a council, can you stand, please, so that people can see you and talk to you? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo!
Please. Yes. Okay. Talk to these ladies about membership. Talk to them about getting involved. They can help you. So, Lee, are we good?
Good.
I want to thank you all for being here today. Please enjoy. Come by and see us at the booth. If you have any questions, we're here for you. Thank you.
Thank you.